Let's talk the Seahawks and the Colts. This is a game that Brad has a play in. This is a game that Matt has a play in. This is a game that Steven has a play in. And guess what? We are Oppo. We are heads up on this thing, Steven. So let's kick things off with you, my friend. You are on this one, and you and I are going head to head this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this one, and I got to be honest with you, I don't feel great about it. Like, let's recap what this line has done since it opened in the summer. Out in Vegas, the books opened this at Colts -3 to start the offseason. Then Carson Wentz had a foot injury. Quentin Nelson had a foot injury. Then that line shifted completely when they thought he might be out. So now we are looking at the Colts at +3 at that point. And then Carson Wentz comes back early, and Quentin Nelson looks like he's going to be coming back early. So the reasons that line shifted 6 points are no longer there. That's when I locked in Colts +2.5. But I got to be honest with you, man. I think Carson Wentz sucks. I'm not a believer that him being reunited with Frank Reich's going to make a huge difference. This was more just a number play for me. And just, you know, from a 30,000 foot view here, when I'm looking at NFL and numbers, if a line shifts 6 points from where it opened, and I can get that number when the factors for why it shifted 6 points are no longer there. In this case, the guys that were injured are in fact going to play. I locked in that number, but I don't feel great about it, just so you know. It was more of a number play for me. It's hard for me to bet against Russell Wilson against Carson Wentz, but here we are.
Yeah, so for me, it was fairly easy for me. I took the 2.5 in favor of the Seattle Seahawks. This total's now gotten up to 49.5 on this thing. I took Seattle here. I'm not actually all that high on the Seahawks. I think this team actually has one of the widest range of outcomes of any of the teams this whole season, because I think if you really break down this roster, it's not all that great. And then if Russell Wilson doesn't just be put on that Superman cape and actually lead this team to will this team to wins, if you will, I don't think they're going to do all that great. So I think there's a pretty wide range of outcomes for this team. That being said, I am as low on the Colts as a person could possibly be. And with the news here that Eric Fisher has been extremely limited coming off this Achilles injury for him. So he's been extremely limited in practice. They don't really know how effective he's going to be. Quentin Nelson now is dealing with not just a foot injury, but a back injury. So now he's dealing with another thing that's going on. And as you very well stated, Steven, I think Carson Wentz is terrible. Like, I don't think he's a very good quarterback. And so give me all of those things combined and let me get less than a field goal. I understand it's an opening game on the road. That being said, as far as experience goes, Russell Wilson at quarterback, I'm as comfortable with in a road game opener as just about anybody out there. So long as they don't go back to this ridiculously conservative offense where it's run, pass, run, pass, and the defensive coordinator doesn't have to even get creative because they know exactly what play is going to be called, then I think the Seahawks team actually has a pretty big day here against this Colts team. Again, a Colts team that, if you look, pretty mild in the free agency market as well. Yeah, they did draft a defensive end and Kwity Paye with their first round pick, but these first round pass rushers don't necessarily always get off in year one, kind of year two, year three type things, or when we really see the big production from those guys. And so for me, really do like this Seattle side here and feel pretty good about this bet. Brad, I know you have one in this game as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I basically agree entirely with you. I'm not too high on the Seahawks. I mean, I think the weakness of the Seahawks is the corners at the minute. Like, they traded away basically their three best corners, which seems strange to me. And even recently they were trading them away. So I think the defensive front will be good, and the weakness is at the corners. I don't necessarily think Carson Wentz and this Colts team is the man to make them pay for that here. So that, I mean, that's one to bear in mind for maybe week 2 or week 3 if someone can protect. But I agree that the Seahawks offense may be overrated. Like, they were definitely figured out somewhat in the second half of last year, weren't they? Like, play cover 2, sort of keep Wilson in the pocket and make him sort of dump it off for 6 yards and make him do that 12 times in a row. And he couldn't do it basically, or he didn't do it very well, and that was the Rams' blueprint for beating them, a couple of times last season. And I think the Colts are probably like the perfect team to play cover 2, rally and tackle and make you do that 12 times is the Indianapolis Colts. That's literally what the defense is built for. So I can see them not scoring, sort of not going ballistic, especially with, again, we don't know what the strategy will be. Like Pete Carroll was in the offseason going, we need to run the ball more. So we don't know whether he's going to impose that. Obviously, the offensive coordinator Shane Waldron comes from the Rams. It's about play action, it's about tempo and stuff. So I think that's probably why we've seen this total tick up, because of the Seahawks no corners and because of that tempo. But I'm kind of happy to go against that because, as I say, there is a chance they just run the ball, and B, I think the Colts can keep them in check. And then the other side of the ball, Wentz, terrible. 41st out of 42 quarterbacks in completion percentage over expectation. So, that means he had open receivers, just didn't hit them. And then the Colts offensive line, as you say, they lost Costanzo last year, their left tackle, to retirement. Brought in Eric Fisher. The last I checked, he looked like he wasn't going to play. So they're down to a third string left tackle against the strength of this Seahawks, which is the pass rush. So, yeah, I don't really see the Colts moving the ball that well either. So, with this ticking up to 49.5, I thought that was a good underplay.